really delighted to be here to talk to you about simulation and cases. So this workshop aims to, first, by the way, I have rearranged, my aims based on what, yesterday's speaker, the plenary, that talked about the why, the importance of starting with the why. So today I'm going to talk about why use simulation and cases. How are our students going to benefit from these teaching activities? And then I'll move on to, talking about the what, definitions. I'm going to give you a definition of, what is a simulation, what's the case, and finally, application. I'm going to give you a taste of each activity. Okay, so, by the way, my name is Youssef, and I'm the coordinator of EAP and ESP, program at the Language Center Marrakech. Are you familiar with ESP? What is that?
English for purposes.
Have you ever taught an ESP class? English for business? Was it? Tourism, great. Okay, so, this will be no news to you, like if you've ever taught an ESP class. Good. Those who haven't taught, ESP class, have you ever taught like an advanced class? Yeah? Okay. So if you have, you must have noticed that, our students, like when they reach an advanced level, they show signs of stagnation. Yeah? Correct me if I'm wrong. So linguists like to call this, intermediate plateau. So students in the language development, they reach a plateau. It's called intermediate plateau. So what happens? Look at our students, poor students. When they reach this advanced level of proficiency, they stagnate. All right? At the beginning, progress is fast. And then what happens? Students' language development, what happens? Students begin to experience what? Feelings of what?
Achievement, confidence.
Yeah, complacency, right? Achievement, complacency, or boredom, or feelings of helplessness sometimes, all right? So, well, the $1 million question is, how do we help our students to get them out of this rut? And I've thought long and hard about this question, and before giving you my answer, I want you to take a look at this graph. All right, so this graph shows, what happens when there is a disequilibrium or balance between, amount of challenge and level of skill. So, of course, we don't want our students to be here, right? We don't want our students to feel apathetic, right? We don't want our students to feel worried, to be worried. So, okay, what do you think? Where do you think, or what do you want, where do you want your students to be on the graph?
Low.
Are you sure? My first answer is this. So we want to find a balance between the amount of challenge and the level of skill. All right? So my second answer has to do with research, e-learning, or learner research. So what does research e-learning say? Now look at this pyramid. So people generally remember, look at the bottom of the pyramid. So people generally remember 90%, or we remember 90% of what we do. And then, so what about the learning outcome? So if we want to have like, if we want to have engaging students, if we want our students to get as much learning as possible, what do? Give them reading exercises? Look at the top. Surprisingly, reading, when people read, they only retain 10%. What about watching videos? Attending, exhibit sites? See, it's okay, 50%. Watching videos. So we want to make use of the activities at the bottom, right? So we want our students to give presentations, to perform. We want our students to simulate, authentic situations. So I think, in my experience, I think simulations and cases fit the bill. How? Now let me talk about the benefits, the why. As you know, like simulations and cases, help students to develop their thinking skills. So we want, our students to develop higher order skills, like what? The ability to analyze, evaluate, and create. So simulations, first benefit, simulations cases, help students to develop their thinking skills. Now, with symptoms, but the real problem, and so on. So students, when they're engaged in simulation cases, they develop these skills. Systematic, problem solving. It's a process. And of course, like when you put students in groups, they negotiate meaning. They learn how to what? How to compromise, how to reach a compromise, how to agree, disagree, how to dialogue, and so on. So these teaching strategies also help like in this area, soft skills. So students develop soft skills. Okay, now I'm going to answer the question of what. So what is the case? What's the case? Case.
It's a premise, scenario, a situation.
Yeah, excellent. It's a situation. It's it's a story, if you like, that recounts realistic events or problems. So in cases, when students inhabit a case, they experience the complexities, ambiguities, and uncertainties confronted by the original participants. Well, their job in the case analysis is to tease out key components from the real messiness and contradictory and complicated information. Now, I want you to take a listen.
Thinking about a case method, first and foremost, expected and unexpected. If you got really a little bit too emotional during that exchange, I don't think that case method discussion, there's a lot of learning.
Terrific discussion that we had with sort of a very obviously fictitious company.
The case itself, to some extent, it's an archetype. It's one example from which a number of generalizable lessons and points will be drawn.
So let's start by trying to understand what the different people involved in this case have to be doing. So if you are the CEO of this company, Paul, if you are the CEO of this company, Jack Brennan, what would you do?
The nature of this pedagogy is that it's not like a scripted lecture. And you can plan up to a point, but you're trying to create an environment where things happen organically and unexpectedly. So that feeling like and unexpectedly. So go into this experience expecting that things are going to happen that you have not anticipated.
I came on as a visitor at the last minute. I got the worst classroom on campus, I'm convinced. It looked like something out of an old junior high school.
There's both, I think, an art and a craft of case method teaching. Some folks who are looking at the possibility of doing case method teaching may be a little bit hesitant or reluctant, feeling like you're kind of either born to do this sort of teaching or not. That there's a certain amount of natural ability to carry out this type of discussion. And I think, there may be some folks who, in some ways, do have experience or personality that allows them to do this a little bit more easily. But I think there's a huge amount of craft, and frankly, craft and science involved in case method teaching. So when we think about learning objectives in a classroom, there are really several different levels. What we call level 1 is really about knowledge. It's transfer of knowledge, information, and I think this is what, as a first cut at learning, you want to absorb new information. It can be facts and figures, it can be frameworks, tools, but that's really kind of the basics. The second level is looking at skills development. And that's developing analytical skills, decision-making skills, critical thinking skills, which is a sort of higher level of learning than simply just transferring information. The third level of learning, I think, is really the most difficult. And we think of the third level of learning as rotating around things like professional identity, attitude. This is really to become an effective leader. You want to have a good sense of values, a sense of being able to be reflective about your own practices, be able to continue learning into the future. And that third level of learning, I think particularly when it comes to professional education, is really important, sort of building the leader. I like to use the analogy of a case method instructor being like a jazz combo leader. This is someone who is knowledgeable about the content, but also...
All right, so as the video demonstrates, the onus here is on application. It's not just knowledge. Knowledge is important. And what we do as language teachers, we focus too much on knowledge transfer. We will transfer bits and pieces of the language, grammar, vocabulary. It's true, yeah, good activities. Like we raise our students' awareness of what constitutes this linguistic system, but that's not enough. So we want our students to apply application. We want them to be able to communicate effectively and so on. So remember, application. Now what about simulation? So we're going to take a look at what's a simulation. Now look at the keywords here. It's problem-driven, right? Which occurs in a clearly described realistic setting. So students are required to perform, or solve a problem. And you give them, of course, you give them like some background information to, draw on. And then the learner responds to the tasks and acts within the constraints of the environment to complete. So, like in a simulation, students don't have much freedom. You just can't, improvise. Now you have all the information you need. So what you have to do is, apply, higher order skills. So you don't have to, knowledge is not, you have the knowledge. I give you the information. Now I want you to apply it. Okay, take a listen. This is what CNN guys said. Take a listen. Okay.
Role-play simulation is where the students are put in a specific type of situation where they're told that they're either acting as an auditor or acting as a consultant, and so they're given the role up front. And then they're put in as real life situations as you could possibly put them in when you're doing a case, so that they can answer the questions or deal with the situation that is more real life than perhaps a textbook would be.
All right. Fun time. So everyone has, how many handouts? 3, right? Okay, great. So I'm not going to give you instructions. It's time consuming, and there is there are some guidelines. Now look at guidelines, simulation. I want you to look at the handout. Simulation. Can you see that? Okay. Can you see the guidelines? Oh, the first question: how do you set? How do you set a simulation? So there are 3 phases. First phase is preparation. Second phase is the simulation itself. And then the third phase is evaluation or assessment. Now I want you to take a minute. I want you to look at the first part, preparation. Now look at those points. Just take half a minute. Busy. There's a short situation. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. I want you to read through the situation. Just 2 minutes. Scan, whatever you're good at. It's like you will talk. You'll have students talk about the situation, kind of a summary. Point out the key information and so on. But now it's time for the rules, right? Now, do you see an envelope? There's an envelope like on the floor. I want you to randomly distribute the cards. Please, there has to be 8 people in each group. 8 people. There are 8 rules, 8 people. If there is more, you can have 2 people perform 1 role. But yes, there isn't enough people here. Yeah. Identify yourself. I'm the chair, I'm the president, I'm the, so identify yourselves. Go ahead, yeah. Well, what manager? Just a manager? What do you manage? Okay. Yeah, you guys have different roles, so identify your roles. You're what? You're the marketing manager. Fine. All right, are you ready? So by this time you have excuse me? Okay. Yeah. No, of course. Of course. You can do it. All right. Now, have you read the situation?
Yes.
Have you looked at your roll cards? Great. Have you fathomed, the whole? What you have to say?
This is part of preparation, right?
Yeah, of course. Preparation. So of course you should give your students some time to planning time. you know. So, excuse me. I want you to have some fun. Improvise. Just because I want you to, put yourself in your student's shoes. Like before, choosing an activity, try it out. Try it out for size. Just improvise. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now, of course, the president is going to chair. Raise your hand. Who's the president here? The president. President. Who's the president? President? Okay. Oh, great. Okay. Mrs. Presidents. Go ahead and get the ball rolling. Just gonna give you like a few minutes, like 5 minutes. Just give it a try. You're about to, I'm going to give you another, 2 minutes? Well, that's a lot, because we have another case. I want you to look at a case. I want you to inhabit a case. 2 more minutes. I'm glad you liked it. But I have 45 minutes, so I'm sorry I'm short of time. All right, great. We're gonna have like a little reflection time at the end. We'll talk about. But now I want you to take a look at let's move on to the case. What's the case? Now take a look at the case. Here's the case there. Yeah. Again, give it like what? Take a couple of minutes, read through the case. The scenario. Do you have it? Do you have the case? Okay.
What? It's brown. It's fall. It's down. Down.
Go ahead and look at the guidelines. Okay, there are 3 stages. Preparation, kickoff, and what do you do? It's the management part. Now turn the page, turn the page over. No, turn case. It says your case management. How would you manage in class? Just turn the page over. This one. Oh, you don't have, okay. Here. So, the preparation stage, what do you do? Yeah, you assign roles, like what? Here's a facilitator, someone who manages, who helps you, there's the speaker, reflector, and the reporter. So, look at the kickoff. Now, it's time for you to, it's time for students to read and discuss the case. Well, unlike topical group discussions, group discussion is different, all right? What is different about it is that students have to follow a framework. Look at the stages. There's a framework for managing a case. The first step is called situational analysis. The students try to, answer the 5 W's. 5 W's? W. Yeah. Problem definition. Is there a problem at all? Is there a problem? Do you think there's a problem?
Yep.
Maybe that's just overacting, maybe, not easy to just, yeah. Problem, zero problem. There's what is the real problem? The root, try to get to the root source of the problem. Well, statement of objectives. So what is the objective of analyzing this case? What do you think? What is the objective? Find a solution. Okay, maybe you should, give more details about how you're going to decide, so what is it exactly? You should verbalize it. What is it trying to do? Excuse me? Yeah, define it, but identify the problem. What's the next step? Find a solution, but you should verbalize what is exactly the solution.
Are we going to fire Amanda or are we going to keep her?
Yes, and so on. So you have to set objectives. And of course, like after, doing some brainstorming of solutions, you evaluate the alternatives. So should we, like you said, what's your solution? Fire her?
Do we fire her? Do we isolate her? Do we give her a workload?
Yeah.
Responsibilities and
See, there's a number of possibilities. These are alternatives. And of course, in the end, you have to come up with a recommendation. And then when the participants are ready, debriefing. You have to debrief the class. And who's going to take care of this in the group? No? The reporter takes notes, or the speaker. The speaker. Good. Evaluation, so how are you going to evaluate? Again, like here, you can use this self-assessment rubric here. Alright? You turn, yeah. Was I well prepared for the meeting? Did I? Or, it doesn't have to, because it's not a meeting, was I well prepared for the case? And so on. Now it's time for reflection. So this happens in ESP classes. So do you think it's possible to introduce these activities to our general English classes, like simulations and cases? Do you think it would be beneficial? Yeah, of course.
When I teach what's art beginning 5, they have a lesson on food and going to restaurants and menus, and I have them design a menu and create a restaurant. But then I give them all roll cards that are, there's 2 that say normal customer, and the rest are all like, you're an old woman and you forgot your glasses, ask the waiter to read everything for you, or you're indecisive, or you're a rude customer, or you think your waiter is attractive, try to get their phone number, or something like that. But they can't show them to anyone, they just have to act it out, and it's hysterical. And then they switch every time, changing roles.
By the way, there's a difference between a simulation and role play. What's the difference?
Well, there's not problems they're solving, except they have to get to the meal and go through the process of ordering and things and food. And the customer forgot their wallet. So it's...
But role play, you kind of impersonate the character, like mannerisms, what it would say. Simulation could be like a fictional situation you're gonna solve, but does not require personal involvement or what.
What about constraints, the environment, the background information? In a simulation, there has to be background information. And there's there are limits. You're not free. You can't improvise. Like in a simulation, there's always and you have to. In a simulation, you play yourself. In a role play, you can play someone else, a doctor, or But in simulations, by the way, simulations are usually used in company training. In company training, for example, you're the president, right? In actuality, you're the president too. So your role is what in the company? You're going to role play your actual role. But a role play, you can basically role play anything, You're a man, you can role play housewife. That's a role play. No. Well, this is, well, the thing is, in professional training, what I'm saying, my question here, but we can always adapt, all right? This is how, simulations work in the business world. But now that you have understood, the nature of simulations, do you think it's possible to adapt them? Like we have students, yeah, right? Students, we have housewives, we have fathers in class. So how about, creating scenarios? All right? Like you're a student, how about creating, student-teacher scenario? I don't know. But, or for example, if you have a doctor, you have what? You have a father, you have a nurse in your class. So how about creating a scenario for these people? They can play their actual role as a nurse. All right? Okay, yes, sir.
That answers your initial question of, we just asked some kind of existentialist question when it comes to EAP or institution. But your question was, where is the tendency? Can we teach this to general public, to the general English public? I think, yes, this is what it is. You just mentioned the idea that in a general English context, there is the teacher, there is the engineer, there is the nurse, the parents, the guardian. So I think that EAP content is there already. You don't have to label the class as EAP, SP. This is the tendency. Parents want to be parents. They are parents in the real world. They're not maybe in that very classroom, but eventually they will. Somebody is pursuing studies to become an NB. He's not right there, but I think there is this kind of evolution to be someone who we are not. Maybe we want to be teachers interested in physics just because we want to help our kids with their homework. So this tendency of, if you want, learning specific English, it's there, it's the future. The role is tremendous for the teacher. You talked about simulations, you talked about adaptation, you talked about adopting those roles in the classroom. Making those guys in this diversity of roles in the classroom, coming to play into the activities, into the role playing, into the simulations. I think this is the future. As teachers, we should be working on these things, whether we're teaching general English classes or English for specific classes. This is the challenge. This is the future. Another thing I wanted to talk about, within the frame of the classroom, a simulation is limited to the scenario that you set, but role play allows the role players to evolve beyond the frame, just at the background, whether it's for the characters or for the story, and then you let them be creative with it.
Remember my initial question?
No.
At the beginning of the presentation, I asked, how can we get, advanced students to, to go beyond this plateau? Remember, increasing the amount of challenge, right? You increase the amount of challenge. So what do you think? Don't you think that the simulation is so challenging? I'm talking about the amount of challenge. The role play, they completely cycle the language. There's no challenge. A role play, I can say whatever I want. And of course, there's.
There is a constraint within the background. You can't ask a doctor to evolve, someone who has to be a doctor to become something else. He has to behave like a doctor. So I guess that's the constraint of the role play. You get what I mean? The challenge can be either within the scenario, in this case I think that's the simulation, but when you have a little bit of improvisation within the frame of the role that they have, it can still be challenging.
Well, remember, the goal is to help students develop communicative skills or communication skills. For example, negotiation, what else? We mentioned soft skills, critical thinking, and so on. That's the bottom line. You're probably talking about speaking practice. You want your students to speak, right? They will speak. Role play, they will speak. They will use, the language at their disposal. No. The goal of a simulation or case is to challenge students. You want them to use their critical thinking, not only the language. It's because they're advanced, they're good. They can inhabit any situation. They can say, but you want them to feel engaged by, challenging their, they know that there's something beyond just language learning. There's critical thinking, communication, soft skills, negotiation, and so on. So I think that the focus is on how to help students to go beyond just language practice and do something else. Yes, ma'am. Well, in the case, there's no right or wrong answer. When it comes to simulations and cases, well, you should place more emphasis on the process, not the outcome. It's the process that matters. Well, they need to agree on, a solution. Maybe give the reason behind it. The speaker can do this. So you'll find that, different groups have different solutions. Yeah. Well, these are renamed claims.
Yeah, I'm just saying if we're talking about, let's say, what's the lady who has this show, issues with taxes, Martha Stewart, let's say, I thought about that. If we're talking about the genuine case, then the teacher can also wrap up the activity showing, well, this is the version, or this is what it is at this point, or this is a process.
Well, just to wrap up, my final word is this. I think, again, if we want to help our advanced students, we should increase the amount of challenge, all right? And maybe we should just, make use of the, what research says about optimal, learning. So, in my opinion, one way to do it is to, to use structured, group discussions. There's a structure. In a series, there's a structure. Unlike topical group discussions, people just talk. There's no structure. In a case, of course, students have to analyze, they have to summarize, they have to uncover the assumptions. It's a process. There's a lot of critical thinking, involved in inhabiting a case. So I believe that simulations and cases would be like a welcome addition to our already, beautiful arsenal of activities. And finally, I think by doing this, we'll hopefully just contribute a little bit in shaping the future leaders of our country. Just a little bit, a tiny bit. A good leader is how can we help our students to become good readers? Thank you so much.